We've got a very unique mock draft to get to on today's episode because at Chat Sports today, we did a company-wide mock draft where all of our channels went live and we all pretended to be the GMs of our team. So I made the selections for the Browns rounds 1 through 3. I made these selections based on what I would do as GM. So if you're curious the difference of what I predict versus what I would personally do, this video is all about me as the GM. So the draft got started with the Tennessee Titans taking Cam Ward. No surprise right there. And then me, acting solely as the GM, with the number 2 pick in the draft, selected Travis Hunter. I don't know if we call it a 180, but like a 90-degree change on I'm in on Travis Hunter. I had my fears about the ability to actually play both ways, but the number one thing that I echoed in the lead up to all the recent Travis Hunter hype is if the Browns have a plan to utilize him on offense and defense, I'm in. And after listening to Andrew Berry speak and getting glimpses of that plan, they sold me. And right now I'm looking at Travis Hunter as this unicorn that Berry called him that you just can't pass on. Well, I do like Abdul Carter a lot, and pairing him with Myles Garrett would be awesome. This is not a I dislike Abdul Carter type of pick. This is a Travis Hunter is just a player that we've never seen in the 21st century enter the draft. And I think it'd be very fun for the Browns to have that type of player on that team. If it doesn't work out, all right. That's not good. I'm not trying to say that's an acceptable thing. But I'm willing to take a little bit of a chance and a leap of faith on someone that if it does work out, is going to be one of the most popular, beloved players in the National Football League on the Cleveland Browns. And for me, that was just too good of an opportunity to pass on when picking number 2. So I've made a change. I won't call myself the Travis Hunter conductor of the hype train. I'm too late to the party. I would just like a seat. It doesn't even need to be first class. I can sit in the back. You won't even notice me. But I am in on Travis Hunter coming to the Browns. He's going to play predominantly wide receiver. You'll sprinkle him in at DB for a couple of big plays and key moments in the game. And I think as his career progresses, you'll see a more even split, or not even just an even split, but close to 100% split of him playing on offense and defense. There are some fair questions to be said, right? Physically, can he do it? Mentally, can he learn offense and defense as a rookie with a very extensive playbook compared to what he had in Colorado? Logistically, can he be at 2 places at once? Can he practice with the receivers and practice with the DBs? But you know what? I'm willing to put those questions aside and go, yeah, that's someone that we've never seen before. And while I do like Abdul Carter a lot, I am willing to pass on him. I don't think he's Myles Garrett level of a pass rusher. I think he's going to be an outstanding edge rusher for a team. But if both Hunter and Carter hit, Hunter on the Browns would be much more complimentary to what they already have than Abdul Carter. That is why I've changed my mind, and I'm in on Travis Hunter for Cleveland. Here's how the rest of round one went, and then we'll look at pick 33. Abdul Carter went next, selected by our Giants host Marshall Green. Will Campbell. Then Tyler Warren goes to the Jags, followed by Ashton Jeanty. I think Jeanty in a redraft in a few years is going to go top 3 to top 4. Then moving along a little bit, Shedeur Sanders goes to the Saints. I don't expect that to actually happen, but our Saints guy, Trace Gerard, he's coined the phrase Shedorlins, so not a big surprise that, yeah, he went with Shedeur Sanders at number 9. Moving on to 17, Jahdae Barron goes to the Bengals. Colston Loveland is off to the Pacific Northwest. The Broncos selected Omarion Hampton. Derek Harmon's got a home in Pittsburgh. Kenneth Grant goes to the Chargers to reunite with Harbaugh. Moving on towards the end of round number 1, none of these guys are really piquing my interest too much. If the Browns were to trade back in round 1 or trade up in round 1, if I had to pick one of the bunch, probably Walter Nolan. And then to round out the first round, Jaden Higgins teams up with Jaden Daniels in D.C., and Michael Williams is the latest Bulldog to go to Philadelphia. So that's how the first round went. Now we're going to look and see what I picked at pick 33. I should also mention we had no trades allowed in this Chat Sports Company mock draft. just to keep things a little bit on the simpler side for the first time we've done anything like this. But with pick 33 in the 2025 NFL Draft, I picked Kaleb Johnson. I feel like this could be the team's next Nick Chubb. And while running back has not been heavily discussed for the Browns, and all eyes are on the Browns using this pick to take a quarterback, if I were in charge, I'd go get this team's number one running back for the next 8 to 10 years, hopefully. He's from Ohio, so it'll be a nice homecoming for him. He's got above average size for a back, 6'1", 224. He's only really got one season of starting experience, but man, did he make that season count. He averaged 6 yards a carry in an offense that, keep in mind, ranked 130th out of all FBS teams in pass attempts. He faced a stacked and loaded box more than any other running back in college football, and he still churned out 6.4 yards a pop and 21 touchdowns. Do not look at his size and think, oh, he's just a big bowling ball. People said Nick Chubb wasn't fast enough in the NFL. Look how that turned out for them. I get a lot of Nick Chubb vibes and David Montgomery shades from Kaleb Johnson. So I want this team to reestablish themselves on the ground. They've lost that threat since Nick Chubb went down week 2 of 2023. It's been 2 years without any fearful or serious ground game. It ends with pick 33. I know how big of a need quarterback is, but the reason why I don't go quarterback here is because I don't think there's a quarterback worth the 33rd overall pick. So if I'm in charge, I'm not going to force it. I'd rather go get Travis Hunter to be the most unbelievable, just pure greatest athlete in this sport, and then put Johnson in the backfield. And sure, that does not solve the quarterback problem, but you know what? There is no solution, in my opinion, early in this draft for the quarterback problem. So I'm not going to force a pick that just shouldn't be there. So I went with Kaleb Johnson out of Iowa at pick 33. The Browns have 2 third-round picks, which we're going to look at the rest of round two, see who I passed on, see where some of those quarterbacks went that you're probably looking for in just a second. But first things first, I do have to give a quick shout-out to our friends over at Game Time. Game Time makes getting tickets faster and easier. Even for hard-to-get playoff seats, prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to tip-off. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and the lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying NBA playoff tickets. So let's say you want to go to a Cavs game or say a Guardians game. Check out Game Time right now because over on Game Time, they're giving the Dawg Pound $20 off their first purchase. So that way when you get to the ballpark or you get to the arena, you've got parking taken care of or your first concession run on Game Time with that $20 savings. Save up to 60% off buying last minute for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. So here are my picks for rounds 1 and 2. Let's go through the rest of round 2, and then we'll get to the early stages of round 3 and see what I did with not 1, but 2 third-round picks for the Browns. So after Kaleb Johnson, Marshall took Emeka Egbuka, so no Jalen Milroe here, which a lot of people think Milroe could be one of these 2 picks. Josh Simmons goes to the Jags. I was debating between Johnson and Simmons. If you're like, Petey, if it's not Johnson, who would you have done? That sounded weird. Who would you have picked? Josh Simmons would have been nice to put at left tackle and replace Jedrick Wills once and for all. Moving on a little bit, some other guys that kind of piqued my interest a little bit. Mason Taylor, not sure where the Browns stand on Njoku long term. Moving on here, we've got Quinshon Judkins, another Ohio State player off the board to the Bears, followed by Travion Henderson. I'd flip-flop these 2 if it were up to me. Then we got some pass rushers going between the Colts and the Falcons. If you want to sound smart in front of your friends for like a day 2 sleeper, Elick Elick Eomanor, the wide receiver out of Stanford. He's from Canada, so kind of like a fun party fact. But he was really good last year, I felt like, with the Cardinal. Moving on here, let's kind of fast forward towards the end of round 2 as we get closer to pick number 67, where the Browns have their next pick in the draft. You can see how round 2 rounded out. 2 guys that I think are going to be really good at the next level that aren't getting round 1 buzz. Kevin Winston, safety out of Penn State, and Alfred Collins, Texas defensive tackle. So with that, let's now check out what I did for Cleveland at the early stages of round 3. They've got the 3rd pick in round number 3 after picking first in round number 2. It's kind of like, I don't know what the phrase is, but you just go like the back of the line. So with pick 67 in round number 3, I went with Benjamin Morrison. This is my Martin Emerson pick. This is my, didn't see that one coming. Now, I'm doing this mock draft based on what I would do. But it also helps that Andrew Berry has done this type of stuff before where he kind of blindsides everyone. Benjamin Morrison. Let me tell you a little bit about him as a player, and then I'll give you the rationale behind the selection. The first thing you got to know about him is he might be completely off the Browns draft board because of some red flags with an injury. Last year, he missed the last 10 games of the season for the Fighting Irish with a hip injury. Hip injury in college is concerning. I'm not going to downplay that, and I think that's why he falls all the way to round 3, whereas if you just go off of 2023, Benjamin Morrison, that's a player that goes round 1, no question about it. But the hip injury is going to ding him a little bit. But for me, the rationale behind this pick is, 1, I think he's an outstanding corner. He's got terrific ball skills. He's got good fluidity. Now, the hip injury might take away some of that fluidity, but if he comes back from that injury 100%, to me, you are getting a round 1 corner at pick 67. That's a cornerstone position where you have 2 out of your 3 starters entering the final year of their contract. Martin Emerson and Greg Newsome. So 2 players going into the final year of a deal. Denzel Ward, we love, but he's had a lot of concussions in his career. There are serious question marks about the 3 starters at corner at 2026. And I know that seems a little far down the road, but teams like to draft usually kind of thinking 1 year ahead, right? We may not have a hole for you in the roster this year, but next year we forecast there being some vacancies. So for round 3, yeah, I'm going to exercise a little bit of patience, and I'm going to take someone who doesn't have a great opportunity to see the field in 2025, but that's fine. They've got 3 starters at corner. They added Travis Hunter, who they can deploy a little bit at corner. And I'm thinking by 2026, if you want to let Greg Newsome walk in free agency, or if they trade him, or if Martin Emerson puts together back-to-back bad seasons, boom. I'm thinking down the line right now with Benjamin Morrison and Denzel Ward on the outside, plus Travis Hunter coming in every so often when teams have 3 receiver sets. That's a cornerback room I can get excited about. And that's a very important position group in my eyes. So I know that's not the biggest team need, but I think if you like best player available, he is the best player available at 67. So grade my mock draft for me. We're going to look at one more 3rd round pick, but so far, because let's be honest, those are the moneymakers, right? The first 3 picks is what people make most of their draft evaluations on. As you get towards the end of round 3 and then into day 3, it tapers off from importance. So those first 3 picks, how do you grade it? I mean, I'm biased, A+ for me, but I could expect a lot of lower grades, and I'd get that. But the beauty of this mock draft is it allows me to come back to this in 3 to 4 years and see if I was full of shit or if I was really onto something. So I asked for this grade now and not after this because it might tank. At pick 94, I go with Kyle McCord. Don't leave the video. Let me explain myself to a degree. 1, I'm not an Ohio State fan, so I don't have this, allure to keeping Will Howard between my college team and my pro team. 2, I think Kyle McCord is a slept-on quarterback in this pre-draft process. And I feel that waiting on a quarterback for day 2 is not a bad strategy when, to be honest, none of the quarterbacks in this draft, with maybe the exception of Cam Ward, I think are going to be on their team for a second contract. I think it's just not that good of a quarterback class. McCord is someone, though, that if I had to pick a QB in day 2, I'd want to wait till the end of round 3, find 3 really good players, my first 3 picks, and then go quarterback. So why McCord? Let me explain the reasoning behind McCord and not say like Will Howard or Tyler Shuck, one of those guys. One, the guy's a bit of a winner. And I know that might not bring a lot of smiles to everyone's faces here, given the Michigan game in 2023. But he went to Syracuse, and in year 1 with the team, all he does is win 10 games, complete multiple comebacks for the Orange, including a monster comeback at the end of the year to knock Miami out of the college football playoff. And he set the ACC passing record with 4,779 yards. I think Kyle McCord is getting undervalued in this pre-draft process. And I think of all those day 2 prospects, he's got maybe the best shot of living up to expectations. And by that, I mean, if you don't take a guy at 33, the expectation should not be, hey, this is someone we expect to start in year 1. I think McCord could sit a year behind Joe Flacco or Kenny Pickett and then go into 2026. And if things go horribly wrong in 2025 and you're picking early in the draft next year, get a quarterback. And worst case scenario, you didn't get a good usage out of the 94th overall pick. Best case scenario, you've got your quarterback in the future and you got 3 bona fide starters before him in the draft. I like this pick for the Browns. He completed so many comebacks in college football. I think the number is 9 over the past 2 seasons. It was just 9 all last year together at Syracuse. Either way, teams and GMs value that. They want to see someone that when the chips are down, when the ball's in their hands at the end of the game, do they fold or do they march their team down the field and win the game? McCord did that a lot. I like the pick. I like the throw. I like the arm talent. He's not the most athletic guy. He's not going to burn you with his wheels like Jalen Milroe or the arm strength like Milroe. But I feel like he is a very well-rounded quarterback that can be a very, solid starter in the right situation, of course. That's the easy cop-out for any quarterback you're unsure about. You just say in the right situation, and then you got to get a jail-free card. So let's kind of round out the rest of the third round, see who I took in between these 2 third-round picks. Who did I pass on a little bit? Let's do all third-round picks together right now. So who did I pass on with Benjamin Morrison, and then who went before and after Kyle McCord? So let's refresh a little bit here. Here's how the third round opened up. You can see Omar Norman Lott from Tennessee goes to the Giants. I took Morrison. I passed on some good players like Andrew Makuba. I think is a really good safety. He ends up in Chicago. If you wanted a pass rusher, Ole Miss has a very good one who goes 74 to Carolina. Princely Umanian. And then Jackson Dart ends up in Arizona. That I'd be very surprised about. I think the Cardinals are much more in on Kyler Murray than the general public. But at 78, maybe Arizona feels like that's too good a value to pass on. Ty Hamilton, Ohio State's kind of nose tackle from last year. He goes to the Broncos at 85. Jalen Milroe is a Steeler. So, personally, I like that for the Browns because I don't think Milroe is very good. I'd love to play him twice a year, and I'm willing to put my money where my mouth is and see if that comes back to bite me in the butt. Kyle McCord towards the end of round 3, like we talked about, to the Browns. Tyler Shuck goes to the Rams at 90. So you can tell that no one was interested in these quarterbacks for round 2, but there was a run in round 3 from Dart to Milroe to Shuck to McCord, and I did not mind the selection I got of that kind of foursome, especially where I got him. So there it is. That's my 3-round mock draft, 4 picks for the Browns, done company-wide here at Chat Sports between all the hosts making picks for their teams. Let's wrap up the video by picking a card. Reed, which card do you want to go with? I'm going to go with 6 of hearts. I'm going to go with 2 of clubs. 7 of clubs. 7 of clubs. I'm going to sign off, and I'll see everyone later.